yeah, we'll just start recording and then go from there. Alright, so, hey everyone, welcome back to another devlog for the Song of the Fae. My name is Ben, and we're going to be trying out a slightly different format this week, yet again. Well, this week. That's the other difference. I've been making weekly videos, so I just confused myself. So, we'd been doing devlogs as the only kind of video. Now there's also weekly playtesting streams where I do a little more of the in-depth explanation, and literally everything we're going to cover today was in the previous stream. So if you like watching the actual gameplay, that's probably the better video to watch. I'll put it in a linked card thingy somewhere on here. So what are we going to do in this video? I hear you begging. Well, I don't hear you begging, it's okay. We're going to basically review a condensed version of the changelog. The other big thing is there's been a lot more work done in this last month, so I don't want to just improvise my way through finding all the stuff to show you. So without further ado, let's view this presentation I put together because it has all the clips in it. It feels like very yes, quarterly update, but somehow we'll make it fun, all right? So first things first, yes, this is the Song of the Fae, and this is devlog 10. We've been doing it for a while now, it turns out. And it is June 2022. We have released a new patch as of a couple of days ago from my recording now. So this is for patch 132, I believe, is the actual version number. I might have the wrong version number in the changelog now I think about it. Anyway, that's okay, we'll cope. So, what are we going to review? Expect me to still be rambling, by the way, and not actually stay on topic, but this is what we're going to cover. So, there's been a bunch of new stuff, but I pulled out the highlights. So we won't read through them in explicit detail here, but we've made a lot of changes to the game board. There's a new biome. You can pick who you're playing the game against. We've rethought how the Bard's HP works. Added a Codex system where you can learn more about the things that are in the game already. Lots more UX stuff and a new set of abilities for the Bard where he can sing now. This is a crazy looking sprite from the middle of an animation. So, what's up first? 3D game board. So, what am I talking about? Let's view this video and see if we can make some sense of it. So, before this update, we had this game board in this style was in the game, but now, and this video loops, so you'll get to see it again in a second. Now you have this zoomed out 3D version of it where I've made this in 3D instead of a 2D set of sprites. You actually have a path you take in 3D. This isn't a huge deal other than it lets you the cool zoom in effect there where you can see that it's in 3D. I mean, I think that's worth it just because it looks cool. But this unlocked a lot of other things for us in terms of presentation of this stage, which you'll see in a little bit what I'm talking about when I say that. To be honest, there's not a lot here in terms of functionality change. It's actually exactly the same as it was in the last patch, but it looks nice, so I think we'll call that a win. Next up, we have, using this 3D board, we have the Fae Biome. So when I said we can do some new things with this board, one of them is putting the game structure in place as we want it. I know it's not playing. I'm holding it back. Basically, there's the idea of this game currently of Wizard Chess is that you play a first half here on this side of the board against an opponent where you complete encounters, get units, build up your army, and basically prepare. If you can beat this boss, then what's in this footage happens. Let's watch the footage. Woo! Yeah, so that I'll probably let play a few times over because, I mean, you know, you put enough hours of work into something and you desperately want people to watch the footage of it. But yeah, we've got a whole new biome on the other side of the board, and this is the second half of the game. I air quoted there, but I think it was all out of my frame. Second half of the game. And basically, the idea is you build up an army and try and find a theme and build around it to be really strong, and then in this section of the game, you're going to face much harder enemies, different challenges, and a final boss, and it's going to force you to survive and adapt your army without constant exposure to new rewards and new units. So if that sounds difficult to get right, it is. We haven't got it right yet because we haven't got most of the content, but that's the vision. We're not dead set on it having to be exactly the way I'm describing it, but this is the design we're currently shooting for, is like a sort of like you start out general, try and specialize to a good army, beat an obstacle, and then you have to take what you've got there and carry it to the end of the game with a set of different mechanics acting on it. So that's the idea. It may be a little bit too complicated. It might be, but we'll find out because that's what we're working on next, is filling out this biome. We've got combat encounters here, but you'll see these other icons on the map like the pentagram and these Stonehenge icons. Those are for types of rooms that do not exist yet. So if you play the latest build, you can indeed click on those icons and they do not do anything particularly useful. I think you just get a combat encounter from using them. So yeah. You can also see something else on display here, which is some new enemies. We've got this one here, I believe is a Phyrus, yeah, hovering over it, good me. And then this is a Husher, so I'll explain this in a sec. I've got the Ghost, who, if you've followed the game for a while, the Ghost is an old enemy that we're finally seeing come back. So this area has a bunch of new enemies, as I said. You haven't seen all of them here either, but the Husher there is what we're calling a Husk version of the Archer, and there's Husk versions of all 6 of your core units, so that's for the Merc, the Lance, I'm counting them out here, so the Merc, where's my hand? The Merc, the Lancer, the Archer, the Monk, the Rogue, and the Dog. The Dog is the 6th one. So then there's versions of all those. So we've got like the Husher here for the Archer, there's the Herc for the Merc, the Huskancer for the Lancer, the Hwoag for the Rogue, the Huskog for the Dog, and the Honk for the Monk. I think I got that right. So there's like an inverse version of all these units. The enemy controls them. They have slightly different behaviors to your versions of them, but it's pretty much the same units. We just wanted to show off that the AI can control your units just as well as it can control its own ones. And a fun feature to be able to put in the game. Cool, so the Fae Biome is literally like, we'll talk more about this at the end, but this is where the focus really is right now about what's coming next, is this area. Okay, other things we've added, opponent selection. So this is something that like conceptually has always been in the back of my head as a way we could do things, but we've decided to just like pull the trigger and do it. So I've explained this over a lot of videos, the changes we've been making into this 2-act structure thing. Before, we were going to have a very traditional roguelike structure of you just do biome after biome after biome until you win. We realized our runs were going to be like 2 hours long if we did that, and I like Enter the Gungeon, for example, as a game, but after 2 hours, I do not want to play anymore, and I don't really like saving and continuing in roguelikes personally, so I want a 1-session game. Whether we're going to hit that target right now is another issue entirely, but 2 biomes instead of many in a row seem like a better way to approach that. So now, instead of many biomes in a row where you'd fight the ogre, then the snake, then whatever else, have a look at this. You can now choose who you're going to fight. And the way this works is this is the fight for the first half of the game. The second half of the game is always in the Fae Biome, always against the final boss. So this is kind of like you choose how you get there, what enemies you'll be exposed to, potentially even what traits and units you will yourself find in each of these, and then you build towards a different so the same end goal no matter what you do at the start. I think that's interesting conceptually. Whether it's interesting in practice, we will continue to work out. This is a theme I've really hit recently in my thinking, is like, we're trying to make this game as fun as possible. I'm not wedded to a particular design to get there. As you will have noticed if you followed the devlogs, we redesign things, not all the time, but we've made some big redesigns and we're still willing to change things so that it's really fun. I'm moving on because apparently I didn't set that video to loop, so you didn't see anything for a while there. This is another thing we've changed. So this is, what you're seeing here is a screenshot of what's in the top right corner when you're actually playing the game. So this now contains, as I've labeled helpfully, your punishments, your rewards, your vim, and your luck. I'll go through all of these for a second. Punishments and rewards here. So these are queued up punishments and rewards. When you go into an encounter, you can see a little preview. I might even have a slide that I can show you for this. Yeah. Actually, no, it's that one before, this one. You get a little preview of, I'm sorry, I did the wrong thing. It's this one. You get a preview of what you're going to get as a result of this encounter down in this area where this shop button appears. I actually picked a bad example because I don't think that we have, maybe this one does it. Yeah, you can see I get 2 vim from this combat encounter, this display here. So this thing here basically corresponds to, get me out here, this. So you have queued up rewards and punishments. After an encounter, you'll get all your queued up rewards and punishments. Rewards first, then punishments. This is clarifying how this works currently. Like, we had this weird blend of you get some rewards and punishments before combat and some after. I'm just trying to simplify it. I'm not sure if we've done the right thing yet, but it's easier to understand if they all happen at the end and you can always see the count here. So, Bard luck, that's the big thing. Up until this point, the way that you lost this game is you ran out of units, and then the Bard, like your king in chess, gets hit effectively for a checkmate kind of move, and you lose. We liked that for a long time, but it just hasn't had the right gameplay dynamics around it, where you get this slow death spiral of losing units, and then losing more units, and then just being on your own in the room, running away indefinitely from enemies. And we were like, well, what if the Bard's just actually really lucky? And that's the explanation of why they keep surviving when they could die. So you get 4 hits, which would be lethal, and after you've used them up, you just lose, and I like this a lot better now. I think I have a demonstration here of what it looks like to lose your luck. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, Bard gets hit in the face. Oh, he plays the animation. Let's see if we can get it again. I think I recorded until the Bard died here. So you get the oof, yeah, the oof face, that's good. I want to use the Roblox oof there, but you know, that's a somewhat of a copyright issue. So you can see here, it's also displayed above the Bard in their little stat block, so you can keep track of it both on the top right corner and here, and also, there we go, we died. We zoomed in to a weird spot, because I'm showing you a cropped piece of the footage, but it zooms in on the Bard when you die normally. So, yeah, hard to miss that this is happening, hopefully. It's a little clearer how close you are to losing here, and importantly, I kind of like that this means now that the army, you can have a really good army, but if you put your Bard in the wrong place, you'll lose. Which is like chess, except that there's no army in chess that's dynamic or anything. So I'm really happy with how the playtesting has gone with this. I'll be really interested to see what everyone thinks when they have a go at it, but I think it's better. So, I mean, hopefully I'm right. 5. Inspecting and Codex. I'm so glad I put these little notes in the top right. I would not have been able to do this video without that. So, what else have we added? Inspect mode. Look down here in the bottom right corner. Oh, it's behind my face on the stream. 1 second. Me off. Down here, see this? It says help and inspect, right? Put me back now over top of it. So that's showing you that you can right click to inspect. And in fact, if I hold down the, I'm not playing the game, I'm showing footage. So if you right click, as in this footage, clicking on nothing does nothing. But right clicking on a unit shows this description box with a description of both how they work and what their skill stat is used for, importantly. Not all of them have descriptions. The enemies currently don't, but friendly units do, and we're planning on expanding this out, and we're planning on expanding it a lot. Like, I want this to tell you, you know, about the trait the unit has ideally, about its element, about its movement patterns, etc. Maybe even like tips as to how to use it effectively. That's really open-ended. So this thing is just the start of having a system for inspecting things, but I already think this is a big step forward just in terms of understandability. I want to extend it so that this right click to inspect mechanic is present like everywhere ideally. So in like reviewing rewards and things on the overall board, if you right click on icons, it can explain them to you. I think that's really cool as an idea. So hopefully we can get something like that in there pretty soon and just keep building it up towards release. And of course, I would like to hear from people as to what would be most helpful from their perspective as to how to play the game, because since I know the rules, I'm one of the least useful people for designing this kind of interface. Let's keep going. Yeah, along with that, you saw the cursor, well, hopefully you saw the cursor in that previous video where you try and inspect things, it's a magnifying glass. Yeah. On the next one, you'll see I have some other cursors too. We've got cursors for movement here. We have cursors for not being able to do a thing. We have cursors for selecting, as we always have. And we have cursors for, wait for it, targeting. So, targeting was previously only something you could tell the difference between moving and targeting by, you're targeting a unit and it goes yellow on top of it. Now we have this additional cursor feedback showing you that it's actually a target. I think that's a lot better. As soon as I put it in, I was like, I now understand what's happening. That's awesome. So yeah, that's only a small one, but hopefully you like these and they work properly, because I think they just make things better. And this is kind of how I'm approaching tutorialization right now, is from the perspective of what things can we do to make the game more discoverable and learnable, as opposed to sticking some scripted, boring thing at the front of it. I had a Twitter thread about this the other day. If you follow me on Twitter, you can find out my controversial and less controversial opinions on game design, I guess. This one I don't think is that controversial. I think everyone knows that static tutorials suck. We just don't know what to do instead of them a lot of the time. So that's the big challenge here, is can we do better? I will not rest until I have no static tutorials in my game, maybe. I'm not making any promises, as always. Okay, you've probably already seen this in the other footage, but I want to make it super clear that this is a new feature. Sequential attacks. Previously in this game, everything happened in one go after you clicked the confirm button on your move, and all the attacks happened at once and everyone died at once. To be honest, looking at it now, I'm not actually sure why I ever thought that was a good idea. Like, just to be honest, I'm not really sure why that was the case. And I just woke up the other day and was like, what if they were spread out over time? And then I did it, and I was like, it's so much easier to tell what's going on. So you can see, sorry, I clicked off of it. You can see the damage numbers that appear above people's heads, they add up as they get attacked. So you can actually see the totals getting there. And if it gets over the defense, only then do they lose. So I've actually taken this a bit further in some private experiments that will probably be shown in the next playtesting video now. But yeah, we're trying to come up with ways so that anybody who, if you haven't played the game before, you can sort of mouse over, watch what happens, and kind of pick up what's happening as it goes. Yeah, so I'm happy with that. And I think this is the last thing that I'm about to show you now. So yeah, Bardic Inspiration. So along with the Bard getting a new health system, they also got new movement and a new ability. So the Bard is actually very different in this build. Before I play the video, I'll explain it. So the Bard can move in 8 directions, which means this way, this way, this way, this way, and then the cardinal directions, this way. Oops, I did the wrong thing. I did it wrong. This way, this way, this way, and this way. They can move 2 squares in all those directions, and they can target anything within their movement range. What does it mean for the Bard to target a unit now? So for that, we're going to do a history lesson. Who knows what the Bard used to do when they finished their turn next to a unit? That's right, very smart here. They would recruit the unit if it was a neutral unit. So if you had this situation you see here, and you hit like end turn, you would have recruited all of these units that are white here to your side. Now, you have to do that as an intentional action to recruit a unit. And you can target neutral units to do that, but you can also target allies and enemies. Targeting neutral units recruits them, targeting allies buffs them, targeting enemies debuffs them, because the Bard is singing a song, and you can imagine that that song is either charming, inspiring, or, I don't know, taunting, perhaps, is the third case. So, look here, target this monk, I'll sing to it, and I'll take control of it, then let's see what happens from here. I'm pretty sure I target one of my units now. Yep, so I buffed that with a 2 buff. It got an attack buff of 2, you can see in the drop down. And then that enemy came in conveniently. You can see Cormag, the boss, debuffed my unit with a similar ability, but then I can debuff this skeleton. I noticed in this video that debuffs don't actually seem to be applying properly, so there's a fun little behind the scenes one I'm pointing out in front of the scenes. Is that a term people use? Don't think so. So, okay, that's the last one. Only a little, but I do think, look, if you've played the game before and you're playing now, move your Bard around, try and use it. You can actually do some really cool moves by buffing up a unit like this, where this unit couldn't have done this without the Bard's buff on it, and it just killed 2 other units. It's like super useful for these get out of jail situations. I think there's a lot more crafty moves, basically. I'm big on the crafty moves. Cool. So, we have a lot of other stuff in this build. Like I said, you can check the last VOD on the channel, or you can have a look at the full patch notes. Why did I say pin? Pin Steam? In Steam, on Steam, one of those. Yeah, Steam will have this changelog in a Steam-friendly format, and in-game you can scroll through it on the title screen now. It's also a big link to the new devlog in-game. I don't know like if anyone will click this, but I just wanted it to be that if you've downloaded the game on Steam, people probably don't know I'm talking about all these changes and why we're making these decisions, and I'd like them to be able to find that from in the game at least. There's actually, something else I didn't show here is there's a pop-up when you first come in now that says, hey, we're in early access, it's probably broken, join the Discord, which every other game under the sun has, and I just didn't do when we launched. Anyway, I'm smart. So, what is this slide? It's like I'm asking myself. This is what we're doing next. So, we don't really have a roadmap that's like linear in any capacity for the game, and I have strong views on road mapping as a concept, but where are we now? We are here, this box labeled now. I know, I made it easy for you. So, the gradient of how transparent these are is roughly the priority ordering of how I'm thinking about these things and what we're going to do next. So, as you can see, Fae Biome and UX and tutorial are the things that are really forefront in my mind. We want to work on the enemies first in the Fae Biome, get those combat encounters working, get the final boss in place, probably not finished, but get structure there so you can face it and start to, we can develop the mechanics basically. Hinge rooms and mini bosses, I briefly talked about the tiles on the board that don't do anything. They need to do something. We have many plans, but I won't disclose those yet. Then UX and tutorial. The event log, I'm not sure this is actually visible in any of those videos, which is a good indication of how useful it currently is. There is a text log of everything that happens in the bottom left corner of the window. It's garbage. Like I don't look at it, and the fact that I don't look at it means that it is not containing enough information to do anything for players. So I've been thinking about what would make it useful and what else we need to show for it to become useful. And I have a lot of thoughts around that, but I can't commit to what they're going to be until I do some experiments with designing both mockups and implementation. I think that we've missed out on a key element of the event log, which is that if you can't reverse engineer what you just saw on screen by reading what's in the log, it serves no purpose. So it has to be there to clarify what you just saw. And that's my goal. I don't know how exactly I'm going to get there, because I usually find that event logs are useless in just about every game. Once again, we'll find out what works here. Rewards and Codex. I sort of mentioned Codex already. We want to keep populating it, adding more information, more things to inspect. Rewards. This is a weird one. So I've noticed a need for this recently, which is you get quite a lot of rewards now, and sometimes it does this sequence of pop-ups thing where you're just like, oh my god, when will the pop-ups end? I want to create a bulk reward UI that you can process them all quickly and assign them to your units quickly. You don't get more than maybe 3 or 4 at most at a time, but 4's you feel like you're just getting spammed by pop-ups for some reason by the game when that happens. So I'm trying to make that a bit slicker, because there's new kinds of rewards that are going to play a big role in the Fae Biome area. Let's just say that. And this one's a bit faded out. This final branch is hashtag content. That doesn't mean hashtag content as in I'm going to post more videos. It means populate the game. So add more traits, implement more units, implement enemies. This is what? This is a soft goal right now. Is that what I'm trying to say? It's a soft priority. It's half semi-transparent on this slide is what I actually want to say. And the reason for that is that we just don't think this is actually the primary thing we need to do right now, but I think it will make the game a lot of fun when it's there. Basically, my thinking is this three-pronged, as you can see here, three-pronged. Get the second half of the game in place, try and get the first half of the game tutorialized to some capacity, populate the game, and this will be the focus of things getting heavier and heavier going on until this is almost all we'll be doing at some point, is just iterating on that part. But yeah, this is I thought I'd give you a bit of an indication of how I think about where we're going next, because it's not just a matter of feature list. We've looked at the project management software we used before on streams, and I'm happy to show that, but it's not as representative as the higher level thinking I'm doing. Cool. So we're done. And that wasn't quick. It still took me 20 minutes apparently, but if I hadn't made the presentation, I think we would have been here for an hour. So thank you, me. So I also made this slide to prompt me to say all the right things, and there are links to all of these in the description. You can subscribe to the channel for more. You can pick the game up now on Steam and on itch. If you don't feel comfortable playing the game in its early state because it's in early access, I totally get that, and just wishlist it for version 1.0 and you'll find out when it comes out. We won't go to 1.0 until we think we have a really good game. So that's your promise from me, I guess. I will commit to that one thing. I'm not going to make 1.0 some fart over the line where we just added one more unit. It's going to be this is it. This is the fun version of the game. So if you want to hang out and talk to us in the meantime until we get there, you can join the Discord. And if you just want to weirdly peep from the sidelines, I say weirdly, I do this obviously, so it's not that weird. Please peep. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm VivaVolt, but the game is Song of the Fae, at Song of the Fae. No just at, and then at 2PM Studios is the studio. We don't post that much on that. You can catch all the playtesting streams live on Twitch or on this channel. You can get the VODs here. And you can join our mailing list on Substack. It's 2pm.substack.com. I write occasionally there. I'm planning on writing a lot more industry hot takes and a bit less news, if that makes sense. So if you're a developer, that might be interesting. We can talk. You can message me on Discord and tell me why I'm wrong about what I write. That's actually one of my favorite kind of conversations to have. So that's the end of this new format. I hope it went kind of well. I don't know how good this is all going to come together in editing, but hopefully it's pretty coherent for you guys. And please, do check out the new patch and let me know what you think of it if you are game for playing early access games. I love feedback, even if I won't always agree with you. I still want to know what you think. And I think that's it for this one. So, tune in next week for another playtesting stream, as always. And until next time, I'm Ben. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.